It's taking a couple seconds, and here we go. We're live. Do you want to work at Tesla, Apple, Reddit, Netflix, maybe Google? You're not alone. There's a lot with you. Welcome to TechFirst with John Koetsier. So Hired released their 2020 Global Brand Health Report today, and the focus is on brand positivity for employees, not customers, not people who might be buying from the company, but employees, people who might also be employees in the future. And it's all about the companies that people desperately want to work for. So for public companies, Netflix was number one, followed by GitHub. Slack was 3, Google was 3, Slack was 4, and Microsoft was 5. For private companies, there was SpaceX, Gitlab, Airbnb, Stripe, and Hulu. And we're going to chat about it. There's a whole list. There's the top 20 for public. There's a top 20 for private. And with me are two very special guests. Vanessa Camones, who is the brand and communications manager. She's a brand and communications manager. She's also the CEO at AnyContext. We've also got Suzie Weitzman, who's a former comms at Apple, now does a lot of different things, including being a senior VP at eBay. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having me, John. Hi.
I'm so happy to have you guys. I mean, this happened just last minute. You guys jumped on. It's really, really cool to have you. So, let's take a look at some of the top companies, and I'll add this to the stream right here. We can see that, Netflix is number one. They have a scale, right? And the scale, I think, is out of 100. GitHub is there. Google's there. Slack. Tesla is number 7. Twitter is there. LinkedIn, Dropbox, Square. Any surprises that you see on the list?
Yeah, I was super like, why is Facebook on this list? I literally was having a heart attack. And if you follow any of my work, you know that I'm not anti-Facebook. I'm clearly on it right now. But just from a corporate policy and just like their brand recognition, everything that's happening, I'm like, you guys really want to work there? It's so controversial. But I guess the stock is doing well. So, hey, what can you do, right? But that was a surprise to me, actually, from the list. I thought they'd not make it into the top 20 for sure.
That's a good point, because there's been a lot of people that I'm connected with a lot of tech people. You guys are as well. I've been hearing a lot of people leaving, maybe people whose options are vested or whatever. Suzie, any on there that are?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Vanessa. I mean, Facebook, really, I get calls all the time for opportunities there, and I'll sit and chat with the recruiter. And when it comes to what their compensation is, it's so low. They say, well, it's Facebook. I mean,
right.
It's more important, and is it the money or is it the vibe at Facebook? And it's like, you should be honored that they want you to work there for.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't even. Yeah.
I think they're really tone deaf about like the actual brand that they've created to most people in tech. Like it's one of those things where in the back channel, everything I hear and all the conversations that I have with journalists and other people, it's like Facebook is just not what it used to be. And it's also just, I think, really interesting to see how much they've been impacted with just, Mark Zuckerberg as a leader. And there has been a lot of internal turmoil at the company. And I know this because I know super secrets. And I hear this stuff, and I have people and old clients that work there now whose companies have been acquired, and many have left, some haven't. But I was astounded. I was like, wow, Facebook. And here we are talking about them. So, hey, more people.
I know. But you can't not talk about them, right? They're pretty central.
Right? They're everywhere. Correct.
I mean, if they want to change their name to Facelift, I'd be much happier.
Wow.
At this stage of my career, I would go right there.
I love you.
But I think then you'd have to pay for it. I mean, you have to definitely pay for the service.
Right, you'd have to pay.
I think, as a model, they attract people who are starting their careers, and they can get some good background and some good, knowledge when they work there. And a lot of them have moved on, but it's still an icon, and we must forget that we're still privileged to have the brand in our homes right now. And look at things in a different perspective. So I want to go back to that list because I thought there were some interesting things, but when I saw Netflix at the top, I was like, I live probably 15 minutes from Netflix, and it's a nice company, and I was just wondering if it had to do with the Emmys this week because there was definitely some insight with Netflix today, but most of their branding now is done in LA, and so I'm sure that there's it definitely has a lot to do with Hollywood and being people living in the Southern California and being served.
Yeah, I don't think that Netflix is on there because of recent stuff. In fact, I think it would have been hurt, frankly, because the whole cuties thing has been massive over the last little while. But I think that the was gathered at least a month ago or something like that. Netflix is a new top company there. It was Google last year, and I think Netflix was down a little ways. So that was interesting to me. It was interesting that Tesla was a little lower as well. I thought that might get a little higher. And I was interested to see that two media companies were on the list. The BBC was there and the New York Times was there. And I know that journalism and news outlets have taken a beating, at least from certain segments of the population recently. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, I want to go back really quick to Netflix because I'm not surprised to see them at having one of the top spots. Like you, Suzie, I actually used to live less than 10 minutes away from Netflix too in Los Gatos. And so I grew up in that area. I'm from the Bay Area, and I would walk by there all the time because their old office used to be right by this great trail in Bastona Park. And I was like, oh, I was younger. I was like, oh, Netflix, maybe. And at the time, before Netflix even started, I worked with Pixar for a long time. And I was like, this is going to be such a huge company, and they're so amazing, and they're right in our backyard. And I think it's a pride for a lot of people in the Los Gatos area. They have a great culture, and a lot of people there, they treat their people well. I love what they're doing globally as a brand. Their shows are phenomenal with the shows that they have actually internationally, their international catalog is just on fire. So, yay, Netflix! I'm a Los Gatos. I'm a old Los Gatos resident. So gotta be there with the neighborhood. But Tesla, I will say, I'm not a fan. I just know a lot of people that work there. They get treated like garbage. They don't make that much money. It's just a resume builder for a lot of people. And I know Elon Musk can do no wrong for a lot of tech fanboys, but I don't drive a Tesla because I'm an ethics focused person, and I just don't like a lot of their practices, and I just don't give them my money. But people always ask me, why don't you drive a Tesla? Like, Vanessa, what's wrong with you? I'm like, because I don't like him.
That
totally
is the
unpopular
challenge.
vote over here. Yeah,
that is the challenge with a celebrity CEO, right? I mean, if you have a celebrity CEO, it can be really, really strong. It can be really, really negative as well. So that was a list of the top 20 public companies, and there's some really amazing companies there. Obviously, Shopify is a Canadian one. Amazon is on the list. That's also a bit surprising because it's challenging to work there. We know that. Lyft is there.
Yep.
Uber was not. That's interesting. Salesforce is there. They've grown massively recently. But here's the top 20 private companies, and that was interesting. In this case, Elon Musk wins. Tesla
again, number 1. SpaceX. I was like, what is happening? But you know what? I think tech people love being masochists, it's like, we're gonna get beat down, because that's gonna show us how much we love the product. We're all about it. And I'm just like, y'all, you do not have to suffer. They're just and it's hilarious to me.
I think it's all about his tweets anyway. I mean, he just surprises us every other week, and to be honest, my Tesla stock is not doing so hot right now, so I'm not too.
It'll go back up.
Look over the past 3 years, or maybe even last year, your Tesla stock is still probably doing pretty bloody good.
It's doing great, considering.
No, I didn't buy it early. I bought it late. But anyway, it's okay.
Well, they had battery day today, and a lot of the press was underwhelmed with some of it, and they didn't deem it like they thought it would be, and so the stock's gotten a hit because of that. But I think that you're going to see it pop back up because everybody loves Elon, and they just want to see, he's a favorite for some reason with Wall Street darling. He's a Wall Street darling, I would say. And it's just what it is. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But
Exactly.
But, just
Suzie,
to hone
go
in
ahead.
on what Vanessa said, for me, the companies that I've worked at a few of these companies, and at this point now, it's about what values I share with the company or what they share with
100%.
me. And that is how I choose the companies that I want to work for.
Totally.
100%, that's my number one reason to go to work for companies now. And when I talk to recruiters or I talk to people, I need to know first, and I do my own research, is what is happening in the leadership, what is happening in the culture, what are their values, and what can they bring to me with their values, because I'm going to be there 100% to them when we share the same things.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, Suzie, because I completely mirror your sentiments. And the reality is, for me, it's the same. One of the things I think a lot of people don't look at, and I look at this even with a lot of the startups that I work with, is their board. And I look at who's on the board, who's on the executive team. If the executive team is a whole bunch of white dudes, I'm like, come on, y'all, it's 2020. Like you don't, I know that there are a lot of amazing female entrepreneurs that can get an executive VP role at your company. So I do think that in a lot of instances, especially in the tech community, a lot of the tables have turned. And I think that, to me, values is really, really critical. And what percentage of their team is female, and are they really like wanting to strive for diversity, right? Like, not that I want to, I mean, I'm Latina, right? And I'm a Latina in tech. And so it's like, I'm like really, really out there. And so I've had recruiters call me and be like, hey, Vanessa, and I will not go back in house. Like, it would take a lot for me to want to leave my wonderful independent status and being able to call the shots and not play the political bullshit. But I will tell you, I love that you said that, Suzie. I think it's so important that companies really care about what they stand for and their values. So
I think that matters a ton as well. And it's kind of interesting. It's actually in the piece as well that 64% of people say that diversity and inclusion would significantly impact their decision on where to work. And this 100%. Is interesting also. You mentioned, Suzie, the leadership. And actually, both of you mentioned that. Here's one. 54% said that the company's CEO's political views would have a strong impact as well. So all of that matters.
So how's Facebook on the list? I mean, come on, John. I can't. You know what? Who I was really surprised wasn't higher up, because I love this CEO, is Microsoft. Like, I am such a fangirl these days for Microsoft. I think they're doing amazing work on all the levels. They're doing all the wonderful things, both with employees and the community and everything else. And it's amazing to see such a company that used to have such a terrible, terrible rap turn it around. And I'm hopeful for Facebook, I'm hopeful that they at some point will see the light and turn things around and make good, decisions with what they're doing to users and their data and their privacy. But I was surprised that Microsoft wasn't higher up on the list, to be honest.
One thing that you'll be happy about, Vanessa, is that Sundar Pichai was the second most inspirational leader, according to the survey. So Elon Musk was first. And that could have a lot to do with the fact that, it could be the case. I don't know. I've heard it's possible that a lot of tech people in Silicon Valley are white dudes. So that could have something to do with it. I don't know.
I will take that's my thing. I will take this back, though. If there is a Microsoft recruiter that wanted to talk to me, I would talk to you. Because I am a big fangirl for Microsoft, so over here. But no, the reality is that I'm a big fan of what they're doing on all the levels with software and development, and they're being really creative with what they're bringing to the table. So it's exciting to watch them reinvent themselves. I feel they've really reinvented themselves since he took the helm. So kudos to you, Microsoft.
Yep. Suzie, I want to turn to you for a second. And Vanessa, I'll just echo that. I mean, Microsoft has been a massive success story over the last little while. I mean, incredible. Up to the top and then way down and a long, slow path back up, but very, very impressive. Suzie, I want to turn to you. And I'm looking at the top 20 brands now that are private companies. Any there that, was a bit of a surprise to you, or any that aren't there that you think should be there?
Yeah, well, not private. Those are all private, or they are private? No, they're public. They're public.
The top list here is
Yeah.
public ones, and these ones are still private, not yet on the stock
I've
market.
heard really good things about Quora. I mean, I just hear a lot of good things about them. So
Yeah.
I imagine that they're going to turn the corner pretty soon. I don't know a lot about them. Reddit, I'm hearing a lot of negative.
Really?
Me too. I have as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
that's pretty.
What are you hearing that's negative there, Suzie? Because I know they had so many issues. I mean, Reddit is a problematic community. It has been for a long time. 4chan came out of there, right? Ellen Pao left, and there's a lot of controversy over what happened exactly there, but it wasn't a good situation, obviously, right? And now it seems to have somewhat stabilized. They seem to have put more moderation in and stuff like that. But what are you hearing specifically that is not good about Reddit?
Just factual information not being right on, and just not being, really hitting the market as far as I know.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. But Quora, opposite. I'm hearing really good about in the market. They're
have too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Too. Yeah.
I noticed Coinbase is on the list, which is interesting. Lots of blockchain interest, I'm sure. Indeed is there, which is an interesting job site that gathers jobs from everywhere as well. But yeah, lots of companies there. Anything else from you, Vanessa?
No, I mean, to be honest, I was surprised that Robinhood was on there too. I mean, I guess from before this was taken, they were like, oh, Robinhood, but they've been questionable practices as of late at the company, if you will. So I'm kind of like, oh, Robinhood, you're not acting much like a Robinhood. So
I know, so negative on
crazy.
Robinhood or what happened.
Their name is like supposed to represent such an insanely amazing heroic person, and yet their practices are just like they had a scathing. Oh my god. I forget who wrote about them recently. It was just such a takedown piece, and I was like, "Ow, who's their piece?" Like, ouch, that hurt. Even to me, but yeah, they. I've been definitely hearing not the best things, but every company. I feel like when they're young, they're figuring it out. They're still learning. They're still trying to be like, oh, should we care about others? Should we care about our employees and about the people that use us? Should we care about our customers? And then they're like, oh, yeah, maybe we should. When the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal.
There's one company that didn't make it on the list that I thought could have made it on the list, and that is Asana. And the interesting thing is that I recently interviewed the VP of product for Asana, and they have such an interest. It's the anti-Facebook in terms of Facebook. That was move fast and break things, and now it's still. It's probably moving slower, but they're still breaking things. Maybe not Facebook things, but other things. Asana is like, hey, we're going to take time. We're going to make it right, and we're going to, honor each other in the process. And it's kind of amazing to me. And maybe it shouldn't be. I don't really know, but it's kind of. It's refreshing that a company can care about their employees and not push them like crazy, like the typical Silicon Valley, like, we're shipping today or we're dying or something like that. And still be very, very, very successful.
And on your public companies, there were two companies that surprised me that were not on there. Just looking at it again, didn't see Zoom on there, which that is like saving people's lives right now. I mean, I was just really, really surprised. And the other company was not as much as a brand, but in a way it is in technology, was Cisco, because Cisco.
Oh my God. I actually thought about that too, Suzie. I worked at Cisco.
Women at the top, right? I mean, they have like every single.
I agree with you.
Every single value that I have, starting with blondes and Latino women and women of color, and you name it, they're on the top.
Yeah.
And they are named #1 company. And in this valley, they have given back so much to the community and to homeless and to food banks. And I mean, they're just awesome. And I've had 4 girls there. Yes.
Were you at Cisco? Did you work there?
4 times, yeah.
I did too. Okay, so we're both Cisco alumni. No wonder we're so good at
Cisco
what we
Mafia.
do. I'm gonna
Meeting
tell
again.
you, the Cisco Mafia. The time I spent at Cisco, which was 3 years, which is like eternity when you're young and you're like starting your career, was honestly so amazing. I got to work on so many amazing things. I ran content for the newsroom at Cisco, and it really kind of it leveled me up in the way that I do what I do. And again, to your point, amazing benefits. I mean, at the time they had the massive, amazing cafeteria and all the new buildings. And I was like, oh my God. It must be like what kids today, when they go to Facebook, feel. That was me back at Cisco, but I was surprised not to see an OG on the list, because Cisco is really a great place to work, as is NVIDIA. And I didn't see NVIDIA on the list either. So
thank you, Jen, for bringing us together. We didn't meet at Cisco, but yeah.
I know, but here we are.
I mean, there's just a lot of value at Cisco, just going in the door there and feeling like a proud employee there, and the networking that you do there with other people, and
100%.
their social is so good. I mean, they promote so many good things that are happening in their own community and the world about. They do a lot. So I was a little bit surprised about that. I mean, there's a lot of companies that do goodwill, and they need to be recognized as well.
I agree. Yeah, I was also surprised to see Google so high up there. Just a side note, Google to me was like, why are you so high up there? Haven't you seen all the drama they have internally? And so many women that I know, like in the women's groups that I'm in the back channel, that have been at Google and worked at Google, I have heard horror stories. And I'm like, okay, so obviously the people that answered this, the majority were men, because I know for a fact that there is no way that a whole bunch of women got together. We're like, yeah, Google, we love you. We want to work here. Like,
the only positive thing was bringing your dog to work. That was the best part about bringing your your pet to work. That was fun. But other than that, it was good.
Well, this has been really, really fun. You know what? We just decided to do this at the last second. We did it. It's going on the podcast. It's going to go in the article as well. I want to thank you guys, Vanessa, Suzie, for taking some time to be here. You've added so much. I have to do this more frequently. Thank you for saying that. It was a lot of fun.
You're great, John.
I loved it. Thank you for having us.
All the time. We respond back and forth to each other, and stay well in Vancouver, near Vancouver, and hopefully, Vanessa, I will see you around here sometime.
We're gonna connect, Suzie. I love it. We share so many of the same principles. Yeah. Thank you for having us, John. Love it.
You are so welcome. Thank you for coming on. My name is John Koetsier. This has been TechFirst. Thank you for joining us, everybody who's been on the show, and this will be available on the podcast and on my YouTube channel.